Hi, I'm Michael Stevenson, the Artistic Director at Capitol Stage, and I'd like to introduce you to Kathryn Doy. Kathryn, can you tell us what you do at Capitol Stage?
Yes, Michael. For the last couple of years, I've had the honor and privilege of serving on the board of directors of Capitol Stage, and for the last year, I've been the president of the board, and I've had the distinct pleasure of learning more about the artistic vision of Capitol Stage and how the sausage is made.
That's great. Can you remember the first play you saw here?
The first play I saw was Humble Boy back on the boat.
Wow.
And I happened to know a couple of the people who were in the cast, and I'd moved from the Bay Area and hadn't found a new theater home. So once I saw that play, I knew I'd found my theater home in Sacramento.
That's great. And what is it about live theater that draws you back?
Oh boy, since I was a kid, I've just been fascinated by the theater. I love being such an intimate part of the stories that are being told. I love the fact that every night is different and there's the interaction between the company and the audience, and I just find it much more engrossing than other forms of entertainment.
Yeah, and why do you think it's important for people to come to the theater?
The theater is just such an important part of our culture and humankind. I think from the very beginning, people have been drawn to other people's stories and can learn a lot from the perspectives of the characters on the stage. And that is one area where I feel Capitol Stage really shines, because we tell the stories of Americans whose stories have not generally been told on the stage. And I think that's just a really important part of the theatrical dialogue.
Yeah, I think it's an important part of what we do, and I still get comments from people about Viet Cong, about Passover, about Hold These Truths. Those plays resonate and those stories resonate with the people in the community, and that's who we're trying to reach. What's your favorite show here that you've seen?
That is a really tough question because I love so many of the plays. I have to say one play that's particularly near and dear to my heart is Hold These Truths, which was the autobiographical story of Gordon Hirabayashi, one of the Japanese Americans that was incarcerated during World War II. And that story is near and dear to my heart because I am Japanese American as well, and my parents and grandparents and all my other relatives went through that experience. So to see that part of my personal history portrayed on the stage was very meaningful to me.
So we're in the midst of this August campaign. We're actually reaching the end. Can you tell us what's important for people to donate?
Yeah, well, I mean, Capitol Stage is a very strong theater company and was very nimble and responded to the COVID pandemic in the most amazing way possible. So Capitol Stage managed to survive, whereas other long-standing theater companies, unfortunately, have had to shutter their doors. But between the fact that audiences are having to get used to coming back to the theater, and also the loss of theater reviews in newspapers, it's just really hard to get the word back out. And so we are rebuilding, but we do need support, additional support while we're in this rebuilding phase of getting people back into the seats and enjoying live theater again.
Oh, that's great. And I know Misty created a graphic for us that showed only 44% of the ticket. The ticket only covers 44% of the costs. That's a big portion of the ticket left to cover all the production costs, which are considerable. It's a love of labor and a labor of love. It's a very intense thing. Thank you so much for your board service, by the way, and thank you for helping us out at Capitol Stage.
Well, thank you for everything you do, Michael. You and your team are amazing.